Thank you so much for watching. Let's get into it now. James Ashby from One Nation is there. He's joining us now from the beautiful state of Queensland. Looking good, mate. How was summer for you?
Very good, mate. We took the caravan away with a couple of metal detectors out west and found a gold mine.
Aussie Gold Hunter. Fantastic. We're going to get you on that show.
Yes, it was good.
Aussie Gold Hunter. All right. Angira Badouage. Oh, I knew I was going to do it. Sorry. Angira, of course, works for the Daily Telegraph, and I'm pleased to say she's part of the show, and I will learn your name properly and announce it as many times as I can until I know it as well as mine. Now, let's talk here about what a lot of people going into the federal election, I think, are going to make a slight miscalculation, is that because Trump was able to defeat all the things Trump was able to defeat, he was able to push aside a whole bunch of wokeness, that's what's coming to Australia. I think people need to actually have a look at how companies are reacting to the Australia Day discussion, how things like Cricket Australia are reacting to no cricket on Australia Day, and they are not bending the same way that they have in other places like America. How do you see the battle around wokeness in 2025 and whether Australia is closer to Canada and the UK or Trump's America?
I'm going to say probably Canada and the UK, and I think that's because we tend to see a lot of political trends trickle here a lot slower than what we see in the US. So I know we've seen the US have, I mean, the big tech companies have spoken out against it. They've really gotten behind Trump's messaging. But I think it's going to take a little bit more time for any of those trends to come down here, as we often see the case with politics.
James, you and I, we're all plenty online and we're seeing all of the things that are great about what's transferring in America, but there is a gulf. And I think that the wall of wokeness is a little taller and a little stronger now in January 25 in Australia than the bended knees that are starting to happen in the States. Am I right?
I think Australians are starting to finally find their voice, and that has been probably spurred on a little bit by the US election of Donald Trump. That is going to pay dividends for this country, and I might just say ahead of our federal election. So I think Trump's going to be speaking the same language as the majority of Australians. They may not say it publicly, but they're saying it in their lounge rooms. I know within my own family circles, they're starting to say, you know, we've got a safe space in our own home, but that safe space extends to the ballot box. And I think for a lot of people, they're going to be saying, we're going to have our say at this next election. Whether it be for a major party or a minor party, Australians have a chance, whenever that federal election is, to finally say we've had a gutful of this woke behaviour and we're going to vote for somebody a little bit different. You don't have to vote for a major party. You can vote for a minor party like One Nation and then direct your preferences to the next best option. But I'd simply say this to people. If you've had a gutful of the two major parties, here's your chance at this election. Do as they've done in America. Get rid of the current government, because woke will send us broke.
And can I also say to people who are going, oh yeah, but if I vote for One Nation, it's not going to matter because there's going to be a Liberal person anyway, or there's going to be a Labor person anyway, or whatever other minor party. Here's the deal. The Senate. Like, think about how everything comes down to the Senate. It's a statewide vote, OK? So, yeah, all right, you know, who knows what's going to happen with your local MP, but how you vote in the Senate, regardless of what is going to happen in your local electorate, will inform how many people go to the Senate and whether we end up with a super lefty Senate, a more centrist one, or one that is going to be a little more to all of our liking. Now, I think that the issue at this election, which is going to jump people into places where historically they've never been before, is buying a house. Now, I don't know what role government turns around here. Government's not going to turn around and say, hey, you want that one-bedroom unit for your kid? Here's $100,000. I know that they're going to say, oh, well, there's a pilot program for 4/5 of bugger all people who've already, you know, gone in with their best mate, or you know, the government's going to help to buy. But in your reporting, is this one of these issues where you can see people that are hardcore Labor people, that if Peter Dutton somehow had a magical answer, they'd flip, and vice versa for some Conservative voters?
Absolutely, and I think we were talking about American trends coming into Australia. I think the working poor is something that we are seeing in Australia, which we didn't have before. But increasingly, I've spoken to people who both parents are working and they've got good jobs, but they're struggling to make ends meet. And a lot of pollsters have also said that those mortgage belts, those outer suburban areas in metropolitan cities, are going to be the tough spot. So I don't think Australians are as loyal to a party they've always been this time round. They are loyal to whoever's going to get them the best deal on their cost of living.
Yeah, they're not even loyal to a phone company, let alone no politics right now. But again, James, that factor where, again, in regional Queensland, where, again, it's going to be slightly easier to buy, but that's if you're expecting people to still be earning Sydney or Melbourne corporate money. But, of course, they don't the further we go. So how many people, when you were running for state politics or in your position now, how big an issue is I want somewhere for my kids to buy, where people will go, you know what, you could be the wokest of woke, but if somehow you've got an answer for this, I'm seriously going to think about you?
You know, Paul, it's never been easy for a person to buy a house. It doesn't matter what generation we're talking to. There'll be people at home there in their 70s, 80s, 40s, 50s, doesn't matter. It's always been difficult to get into the housing market, whichever demographic you look at. And I hate to say it, I know a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck trying to put that money away. I know the reports are out there saying people are doing that. But even when you own a home, you're living paycheck to paycheck. I put a new clothesline out the back. It hit me $400. I was lucky. I could still dig a hole myself. I could still concrete that thing in. Otherwise, it'd probably cost me another $400 to put it in. It doesn't matter whether you own a home or you're renting. There are still ongoing costs. And this is the difficulty for a lot of people. It's never easy to get into the housing market, but don't think that once you're in, it's a free ride or it's an easy ride, because you've still got maintenance, you've still got upgrades you want to do. I just went and had dinner with friends who put a new kitchen in their house. It's a unit. It cost them close to $100,000. So all these things people have to think about. Whatever you're doing out there, whether you're renting or buying, it's still tough no matter which way you try and slice or dice it. I'm not saying it's any easier either way, but it's going to be tough for Aussies moving forward, because nothing is easy in this country, especially when you've got an influx of migrants coming into the country under both major parties, but particularly under Labor. There's going to be a huge influx of migration under Labor if we give them a second term. The coalition's slightly better, but I think we should be more focused on looking after Australians so that we can lower the price of housing and affordability moving forward.
Angira Bharadwaj, did I get it?
Almost.
Damn it! I'm telling you, I'm going to get it. I'll get it. I apologise, darling. All right. TikTok, are you sucked into the Chinese surveillance app? Are you glad that you're not in America and it's disappeared, or you can see the forest for the trees?
I've been there. I can't say that I haven't fallen into that trap in the past, but maybe less so now that all the American TikTok influencers are going to leave and there's less content on there.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people in America are pretty frustrated by that, and there's been pressure here domestically for Anthony Albanese to do something on this. So maybe we'll be in the same boat and we're all going to be sobbing over losing TikTok.
Well, the version, of course, is going to be in and around the teenage stuff, which I know people have had very strong views on, but we'll all wait and see where this goes. All right, James, a bold prediction for the week ahead. What's definitely happening, because the power of the bold prediction on Paul Murray Live is that it is enforceable by law.
Well, I can't see things improving for the Albanese government, but I also don't see things improving for the coalition over time. I think there's a lot of pork barrelling going on over the next couple of months. Aussies are awake to this, and I think that polling results probably won't move that much for either of the major parties. Probably see an increase to parties like One Nation as we start to roll out our policies.
Good man, I love it. I love it when he's on message. Good to see it. All right, and Gira, what is it for you?
Okay, so you said bold, not realistic.
Yes.
So I'm going to go for some wishful thinking, and maybe the PM will call the election.
Oh,
Get out of our misery.
Well, from your mouth to, it's legally enforceable. Thank you. Welcome aboard.